Hi, hello flute drawers, how's it going? Like there is always room for improvement, there is always room for more awful experiences you can go through as an artist. Especially if you decide to start working with customers and doing commissions, and oh boy do people go through it. Both the artists and the people commissioning. But as long as people keep making mistakes, we can keep learning from them. Or just reading about them to feel better about ourselves. Either way, make some tea, draw along, eat along, and let's read some bad, messy commission stories from Reddit. Let's start with a short one. Am I the a-hole for asking an artist to remove their signature from the art I commissioned? Throw away because I wish to remain anonymous from the artist, they are on Reddit. I found an artist I really enjoy and commissioned them recently. I want to preface this with the fact that everything went extremely smoothly so far. I am very happy with the outcome and the art is exactly what I pictured. Only one issue though. They left their signature on it. To be fair, it is small, off to the corner, not very noticeable. I just feel that it is unprofessional. As I commissioned them, the artwork does not belong to them anymore. I asked if they will remove it for me, and they seemed kind of annoyed and asked me if I read their terms of service. Admittedly, I skimmed, where it apparently states that they will not remove their signature. I told them what I said above, which is that I own the art now. They then told me I somehow don't and then quoted me a huge markup price for commercial rights, and they only removed their signature for that purpose. I said I don't need commercial rights and tried to compromise by offering to send them $5 to remove it, which is utter BS in the first place. I shouldn't have to pay extra for this. They refused and I had essentially told the artist that if they don't remove it, then I will simply Photoshop it out myself. Considering that it's mine, I can do whatever I please with it. They then informed me that I will be blacklisted from commissioning them if I do so. Spoiler alert, I did it and now I am not to mention blocked from them as well. Am I the a-hole? What is your problem? I mean, if you like the artist and you like their art, wouldn't you want their signature to be there? Like, people pay crazy money for autographs, wait in lines to have a book they like signed by the author. Why would you not want that so bad? Especially if it doesn't in any way take away from the painting. As you said, it is small, off to the corner, not very noticeable. Then what is the issue? But even all of that moral stuff aside, it's stated on their TOS. That's the end of the argument. Even if they wrote in fine script that they will only send you the final result in 144p, as ridiculous as it is, they'd still be in the right because it's written on their TOS. There's nothing, that's just how it works. Let's read what the comments say. You're the a-hole. Do you want the author's name removed from a book when you buy it? Right? Like, what does it doesn't belong to them anymore mean? Like, better call Van Gogh and tell him he has to remove his signature because his painting belongs to the Louvre now. The only reason to demand an artist remove their signature is so you can claim you made it. Yeah, I just don't see another reason why they would want to remove it so badly. Listen, I don't really have a signature. Like, I always wanted to come up with some cool stamp signature that I could put on my drawings. I mean, I have this thing, but I've been forgetting to put it on most of my recent drawings. I don't know why. I mostly just put my account name, so if my art ends up on some weird corners of the wide web, people can trace it back to me, like a lost puppy. But it looks pretty ugly, so obviously I don't put it on my commissions, you know, because it doesn't even look cool. But if I ever cook up a banger signature for myself, you better believe I will be slapping that all over the place. I'll tattoo it on my forehead. Back to the story, the overall vote is obviously you're the a-hole, which I heavily agree with. If you want to remove the signature, you have to buy a drawing with commercial rights included. And read the TOS carefully. Before you purchase any service in general, it's best to know what you're signing up for. Anyways, next story. Am I the a-hole for being impatient on an already overdue commission? I commissioned an artist a year ago for some important art. I told him to take his time given the complexity. It's been over a year now and he's expressed how bad he feels for not delivering it earlier. He's working on a lot of IRL things, so I keep insisting that I want to keep supporting him as an artist, hence me not wanting to pressure them. But honestly, if I'd known it would take this long, I would have commissioned someone else. Now it feels almost insincere when I tell him it's alright that he's taken a while. I don't want to ask for a refund refund because I know he needs the money, but also I wish I got it earlier, you know? Edit, he gives updates but it's months apart and with barely any progress, again because of IRL things. He's apologized profusely and offered a refund, though I insisted he keeps the money. Last time we had a similar story about an artist who has also crossed all the possible deadlines, hasn't made any progress in almost a year, and was being a total a-hole in how she communicated with the client. She was so rude, wasn't responding to messages, made a million excuses and zero apologies. That was the absolute devil who should not be taking commissions. But here it's different. Here the artist seems so sincere. Like, I believe they're actually having troubles in life and not just making up excuses, you know? And the artists themselves even offered a refund because they must have felt so bad. That is absolutely what I would do. I'm just very serious about money, especially other people's money. If I had some emergency life circumstances where I realized I'm no longer able to work on this commission the way I intended to, I just return the money for my own and my client's peace of mind. As for OP, I would not go as far as saying they're the a-hole, but I think they are in the wrong here. It's good that you're being this kind, patient customer, understanding of the situation, but are you actually being that? Or are you just people pleasing? Is your kindness actually doing any good for this situation? It's not, because you're lying. Comments, you're the a-hole. You're literally telling him to take his time and that you don't want a refund, and yet you somehow expect him to pick up on the insincerity of your words and do the project faster. Yeah, you keep telling him it's fine, when actually it's not fine, and all this time you're just building up resentment and getting angrier. Why are you doing that? Another comment, you're the a-hole. Next time you speak, say what you actually mean instead of saying no, take your time, and no, I do not want a refund. He is an artist, not a mind reader. I really hope you don't do this in other aspects of your life like work or romantic relationships. Yeah, when people do this in real life relationships, just smiling and saying it's fine when actually deep down they're holding a grudge against you that you have no idea about, those are the worst. If you don't like something, speak up. If you don't want to speak up and have a conversation, then you don't have a right to be holding a grudge. Same thing here. If you don't want to be honest with the artist, then you have no right to complain and be upset right now. I don't know what else to tell you. Take your money back and stop torturing yourself and the artist. Just leave them alone. I think that's the best resolution to this situation at this point. I don't know. What do you think? Am I the a-hole for giving my family a reverse discount when they want art? I sell art commissions and my friends regularly commission me, often paying just $5 for their first piece as a discount. This mostly applies to in-person commissions with people I'm close to. They're generally okay with paying and sometimes they even offer a little extra. As they should. If those are like legit commissions, then $5 is kind of ridiculous. Unless you're giving them like a wonky little sketch on a napkin. However, my parents and brother disapprove of me charging for art, especially when it's for people I know. They often say things like, they're your friends, they shouldn't have to pay you, or it doesn't take that long to draw something. My brother has even told me your art isn't worth anything. Oh, your family sounds lovely. They use examples of me drawing free art for birthdays, holidays, and other occasions as proof that I don't need to charge for my work. They also point to instances where I've drawn for friends or family out of my own desire, or for young relatives who can't afford to pay, saying this means I shouldn't charge anyone. No, you stupid idiot. Just because my grandma made a pie for me for my birthday doesn't mean she's now a mass production pie making machine who has to make free pies for everyone who can open their mouth. After hearing these comments, I started offering my art for free, partly to avoid conflict and partly because I began to doubt myself. Technically, my work doesn't take that long, about 10 hours on average over 2 to 5 days. Hey, that's a long time. You're selling 10 hours of work for $5? Do your friends know how much time you spend on your drawings? If I found out that my friends spent 10 hours on something that I commissioned them to do, not like a gift or something that I commissioned them to do, and I only gave them $5 for it, I'd feel so ashamed. I would die. I'd rather get paid nothing than get the, oh, here's $5 for your hard work, spend it wisely. Shove those $5 up your ass. I've done free work before, like creating logos for the library and posters for school clubs, and while I didn't always expect payment, it would have been nice. On their side, my family argues that art should be something you do out of passion, not for profit, especially when it involves people you care about. They believe that because I'm close to these people, I should be happy to create something for them without expecting anything in return. They also think that by charging, I'm potentially damaging relationships, making them feel like they're being treated as clients rather than loved ones. But they are the ones commissioning her work. They are the ones who need art made for them regularly. I assume maybe they're using it commercially in some way. Either way, they are clients. They don't have to commission her. It's not like art is a necessity. I just don't understand. The problem escalated when they started asking for more complex, full shaded pieces, which take longer, up to 40 hours over 2 weeks. Some even asked me to redo entire pieces or remove my watermark because it doesn't look good. They rarely credited me for my work, and when I asked, they dismissed it as unimportant. After some reflection, I decided I was done with giving away free art for people who didn't appreciate it. I increased my prices for those who had complained about paying, adding a 25% surcharge. For example, a headshot sketch that was $8 became $10, and a full body, fully shaded piece went from $45 to $56. These family members quickly noticed the price increase and were offended when I told them they had to pay or get nothing. They argued that if they had to pay more, so should my friends, but I kept the original prices for those who hadn't complained. My brother called me a greedy bitch. And honestly, I couldn't give two craps what he thinks, but it still hurts. But I've stuck to my decision and refused to draw for those who treated me poorly, though it has affected my motivation. Am I the a-hole? Girl, I feel so bad for you. Does absolutely no one, not a single person in your life, value your work? Do all of them also work for 50 cents per hour? Do they think that is a fair price for someone's labor? What do the comments say? Not the a-hole for your decision, but holy hells, are you an a-hole to yourself? Have you even looked at what artists charge for commissions? I mean, I don't know how good your art actually is, but I'm expecting to pay $200 for a drawing of my cat, and even $80 for a sketch of my D&D character. You're massively undervaluing yourself. Please look up some other artists and pass on their rates to the people who are moaning. Seriously, $5 for a commission? My mind is blown. And then offering for free? Edit to add, I just saw the part about full body shaded piece. That should be upwards $400. People need to value artists for frick's sake. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, I'm assuming their art is good if their entire family and friends are constantly waiting in line to buy their art and raging when she told them she's gonna raise the prices. Like, they're acting like they can't live without her art. What do they even use it for? Do all those people around her work in like game dev or write books that need to be illustrated? Why do they constantly need to commission her for art? I'm really curious about that. If people keep asking for free art, I imagine OP's work is at least decent, but they're not even paying themselves a minimum wage at $5 to cover 10 hours of work. OP, stop doing art for people who don't appreciate it and start charging properly for your work, time, effort, and skill. Yeah, exactly. So, there are more comments who seem to disagree with everything said above. They say, their art is in their profile. I'm not trying to be mean when I say this, but $5 is reasonable. No one is going to pay over $20 for something that isn't worth that price. It's nice that you guys want artists to be paid appropriately, but $5 isn't a bad starting point for beginner artists. They can raise the price as their skill increases. I used to charge $5 for commissions, but now I can charge more than $80 after constant practice. It takes time to get to that kind of price. Okay, so this whole time, for some reason, I don't know why, I made it up in my head, I thought everyone involved was an adult. We don't have any ages here, but I thought OP was an adult and her friends were adults because it all sounded so professional. Like, I thought they were commissioning her for their businesses or something. But I went to OP's profile and here's their art, and Well, it's definitely not complete beginner. They have for sure been drawing for quite some time, but it's still, still a lot of room for improvement. Definitely not like a professional level art that could be used commercially and stuff. That's what I'm trying to say. So if it's not used commercially by anyone who commissions her, and if they are not even adults, they're like probably still in school. OP is a child and their friends are also like other children who may be just using their pocket money to support their friend. Then I don't know, that's just kind of really cute and sweet. And in that case, $5 doesn't even seem that bad, because I was wondering, why do they need to commission so much art all the time? But probably they don't actually need the art, they just want to support her because they love her. Her friends give her this symbolic little payment to show their support and appreciation, and she gets to practice her art, so by the time she gets to a level where she is able to start doing actual professional commissions, she will be pretty confident with it because she had so much practice. So I don't really know what to say here. Maybe my advice would be try putting the commissions on pause and just draw for yourself, have fun. You're at a level right now where you should be having fun and learning and experimenting with your art and not sweating over 40-hour commissions and worrying about like business logistics. Unless you're really enjoying that, then sure. And it's so great that there are so many people around you who are actively supporting your art, not only morally but also monetarily. I don't know if I'm looking at it from the right angle. If I were paying my little sibling a little 10-20 bucks here and there for their drawings to support their passion, and then they came up to me and were like, well, from now on it's 100, I'd be like, whoa, hold on, little dude. Maybe, maybe get a little practice in place first, and then we'll talk about raising the price tag. That's the dynamic I'm imagining, and maybe that's what her family is actually saying to her, and she's just taking it the wrong way. But I don't know, she said her brother called her greedy bitch, which I don't know. I don't fully get the situation. Let me know your thoughts. I'm very confused. I don't know what verdict would be right here. It could go either way. Okay, wait, so I read some of OP's comments, and they seem to have been 15, 16 at the time of posting, so I was correct. They are a child, they're still in school. I guess people were being very mean in the comments and OP had to defend herself. Your art is bad. I understand the time investment, but that time is better spent on some in-person lessons. And OP replies, how is my art bad? Can you give me some examples? Because if it's the line art, I don't like clean line art. If it's the shading, it's inspired by oil pastels that I use in real life. I'm going to need some reasons on why it's bad. And here this commenter wrote out some criticisms instead of, just saying something offensive. I don't think your art is bad. That's true, it's not bad at all. But the most beginner looking aspect to me is you have a lot of uncolored cracks like around the outlines and such. It looks like you're using the paint fill tool on sketches and then not filling in the parts the bucket misses. I personally would be fine commissioning beginner art, but not anything with that specific quality issue. And now, right after this comment, we have ugly, bland, lack of values, poor color palette, boring subject matters, basic composition, perspective sucks, line quality. Oh, and anatomy is hideous too. Jesus. Why? Hey, that's a child, okay? And then people like this will say, oh, I'm just telling the truth. I'm just trying to help them improve, when they're not actually giving any valuable advice and just insulting someone's work for fun. Not the a-hole, but sorry, your art looks like beginner's work. Which OP replied to with, have you seen beginner's art? Not trying to sound rude, but it's an honest question. But it's my art style and it's taken me 5 to 6 years to keep somewhat consistent, as well as the fact that none of these are fully completed except one. And another person replies with, I've seen a lot of amateur artists say it's my art style to try and avoid criticism, but bad shading is not an art style. And I'm only saying this since it seems you want to actually make money off your work. Even if these aren't finished, you can tell how amateur/beginner they are. No amount of finishing touches can fix that. I don't want to discourage you, I can see a lot of potential in your work, but I advise practicing more. Try looking into line weight, anatomy, and learning how to properly shade and color. Best of luck. See, yeah, I say I agree with that. I've talked about this before, the fact that we can't really see our own art for what it is. Only after we improve and get to a higher skill level, we can look back at our old art and identify all the mistakes and flaws that we could not see before. And that's why a lot of beginner artists will be claiming that it's their style when in reality it's not, because art style is a choice. If you are very good at anatomy and you have plenty of drawings with perfect anatomy, but in this one specific drawing you decided to exaggerate the proportions and make the body look a little fun, then that is a style. But if your anatomy is just wonky and disproportional because you are not very skilled at anatomy yet, then it's not a style. It's a skill issue because you did not make that choice. And trust me, most people who look at your art from outside can't tell apart a skill issue from a stylistic choice. Unfortunately, it's very obvious, so believe them when they tell you that. But here in this comment, the person is also kind of telling the tough truth, but without sounding like a bully. You can't critique someone's art without saying, oh, your lines are shit, and anatomy is hideous, and designs are ugly, and you're just stupid. There is no reason to be this rude. That's not what criticism is. And it's baffling how many people out there are trying to play dumb and pretend like they don't know the difference between bullying and criticism. That's crazy. I really hope that OP keeps going and does not get discouraged by these comments. I don't think they will. They have so many people in their life supporting them. I think they'll be fine. Yeah, this story took so many turns. Let me know what you think about the whole thing. I had one more story for today, but I think I'll leave it for the next part because this third story took way longer than I expected. Yeah, let me know your opinions in the comments. Maybe you had similar commission experiences. Feel free to share. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and good night, good day, goodbye.